There was a cycle in my life. I would enter a new social scene, a new set of friends, and I would make them laugh. I was a funny guy. I would tell stories, and I would imitate people, and they would tell me, you should be a comedian. Like, why aren't you in comedy? You should be doing some kind of comedy. But then one day it stopped being funny. So my parents came to this country determined to be successful, and the restaurant they owned evolved into a bar, and the bar evolved into a go-go bar, which was unusual because when kids in my neighborhood went home after school, they actually went home to a home, and I would go home to what was literally a bar, and downstairs it was a strip club. So my earliest memory is of running around the kitchen and running around the bar area and connecting with the customers and the regulars and the dancers and the police and the bikers, and this alleyway behind the restaurant became my playground. And every time I went out there, there'd be something going on. This alley was a hotbed of action. There'd be couples making out in the alley. I would find groups of guys smoking weed. So it was unusual. If I had friends over, they didn't come over a second time because they would go home and they would tell their parents, I went to Billy's place, and they would see pornography on the walls. They would see all the trappings that kind of go along with adult entertainment. So it was a very unusual upbringing. So having my first drink at a company Christmas party when I was 16 years old, and being a part of that party and being funny and being it began a history of high school parties and get-togethers and social events where I would show up and I would drink and I would be the life of the party and it'd be funny, and eventually it was no longer a weekend thing. It was a daily. I need to drink because if I don't drink, I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. I don't feel good. I don't feel okay. And I remember thinking to myself, if only my family knew how good this felt, then they would truly understand. Very early in my childhood, I had installed in my psyche the image of the bunch of guys around the table drinking and smoking and laughing. And even at an early age, they would pull a chair out for me at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, and they would laugh and they would joke and they would tell stories. I loved being the center of attention. I loved having that kind of impact. It would invigorate me. It would exhilarate me. And I just so desperately wanted a seat at that table. I was addicted to being funny as much as I was addicted to drugs and booze. It's never only just drinking. Drinking eventually leads to smoking a little bit of weed. Smoking a little bit of weed eventually leads to doing a little bit of coke. Little bit of coke, it ends up being a lot of coke, and then eventually that's not enough, and then it's prescription medication, and then it's opiates, and then it's selling your parents' wedding rings to make sure that you've got enough cash on hand to get high that day. A short time afterwards, I was visiting my parents for the weekend, and as usually happened when I was visiting my parents, I would go to church with them on a Sunday. And the pastor of the church is a very warm, friendly guy, and he would always ask me, Billy, how you doing? How's it going? And I would always answer, I'm good, I'm great, I'm doing just fine. And this one particular Sunday morning, he as he always did, asked me, how are you? How are things going? And in that moment, for whatever reason, I decided to be honest. I said, I'm doing terrible. I'm not doing good. I'm not okay. And it was in that moment that I'd realized I need some help. So knowing that I needed the help, knowing that I couldn't run anymore, I had grown up in the church, so I was aware of Teen Challenge. I had seen the outreaches and the Teen Challenge choir. So I knew that there was this place out there that could help guys like me struggling with the things that I was struggling with. And sometimes I was okay with the idea and sometimes not so much, but I had exhausted every last hope and I needed help. The transformation that took place at Teen Challenge was a gradual thing. It was something that people need to understand about Teen Challenge is every staff member and even some of the other students each person will contribute to speaking into your life, and each person will teach you something about the character of God and the nature of God, and this person will teach you about love and mercy, and this person will teach you on how you can listen to the voice of God, and this person can teach you about how to be courageous and how to be brave. So during a 12-month period with everybody, with all these good, positive, loving people speaking into your life, transformation happens. It's not an abrupt one-day kind of a thing. It's a 365-day thing. Looking back at my time at Teen Challenge and having walked those hallways, I see a change. I see a guy that used to have to be the center of attention, the guy that had to have a seat at the table and be included in everything, and the guy that started things and never finished them, and then becoming the guy who was able to love others, the guy that was able to not have to be the center of attention, and the guy that was able to see things through till the end. I can see that Teen Challenge was the beginning of a journey, a new journey, a new walk of hope and healing and recovery. That is the greatest change that happened to me because of Teen Challenge.